Well, first, their graduations were canceled, and now the class of 2020 is preparing to enter a college scene like none of us have ever experienced.
Will classes be online or in person? Will dorms be open? Will it be anything close to a normal school year? So maybe this is a good time to take a year off.
Denver 7's Nicole Brady goes 360 on the pros and cons of taking a gap year.
When you're 18, you're supposed to feel like life is just beginning. The world is your oyster. But when COVID-19 came crashing into the lives of this generation, their freedom was suddenly restricted, their future uncertain.
The pandemic totally shifted everything.
So why not take a year off? A gap year. It's traditionally a year between the end of high school and the start of college when young adults travel, volunteer, or go find themselves. But this year, the gap year will look a lot different, and the reasons for taking one are also different. So we're going 360, talking to higher ed officials about whether it's smart to put off college right now, a gap year researcher, an advocate for economically disadvantaged students, and high school graduates who are taking different paths. Lucas Frazier actually started planning his gap year before the pandemic. He had hoped to see the world and document his experience on film.
A big part of my gap year was definitely going to be travel, just because, I want to be a travel filmmaker.
Now with international borders closed, his options are limited. But Frazier still hopes to expand his horizons from home.
I'm going to take this time for myself right now, and I'm going to, learn about what's happening in our world right now.
Henry Trulson is doing the opposite. He started taking classes at School of Mines last week to get a jump start on the fall.
I didn't really want to change up my plans for the future because of this whole thing. So I thought, hey, it's a little unconventional, it's a little untraditional, but we'll push through it.
But it certainly isn't the college experience Trulson imagined.
As you can see, it's pretty desolate out here today. There's not many people walking around. I feel like it's like an apocalypse movie.
Colleges are still figuring out how they can bring students back to campus or if online learning is here to stay. But Angie Patroni, executive director of the Colorado Department of Higher Ed, says this is not a reason to put off your education.
When you stop, it is so hard to restart. And so if you are in progress, let's say you're a sophomore and you're thinking, let me just take a year off, the chances of you coming back to finish your degree are slim, sometimes to none.
Patroni points out there are over 600,000 Coloradans who have some college but no degree.
We don't want to see that number explode as a result of COVID-19. So my encouragement is continue your journey, your educational journey. Complete, wherever you are, complete the next step.
Unfortunately, for some young adults in Colorado, postponing higher education isn't so much a choice as a necessity.
We have a lot of young people who are saying, well, I need to take a year off to go work.
Nancy Hernandez is an advocate for neighborhood equity with the Denver Economic Development Office. She works with students that haven't had the same advantages as some of their peers.
Some of our DACA students have been excluded from the aid that the federal government has given out for COVID relief. And that is a concern.
Hernandez says these students who may be helping support their families through the crisis should not be penalized, but rather rewarded by colleges later on.
And it may not be what we typically think of as a gap year, but it's also an economic reality, and it shows a lot of maturity and growth.
Perhaps the pandemic offers a chance to redefine what a gap year means. Bob Claggett with the Gap Year Research Consortium at Colorado College says the perception has long been that gap years are only for affluent kids.
We're really hoping that the benefits of taking a gap year can be spread out to a much wider group of students than have typically done it in the past.
And he says that's a good thing because research shows taking a year off before college can benefit students academically and mentally.
On average, students who took a gap year before they enrolled in college did better than those who didn't. And those students who do it end up getting more out of their college education. They're more mature, they're more focused.
Claggett says there are opportunities to take a gap year at home right now, volunteering on political campaigns, doing contact tracing for the pandemic, or working for social justice or environmental issues. Many of those we spoke to agree this generation has challenges, but also opportunities right now. So if you take a year off, don't waste it.
Now is not the time to stay home and do nothing.
Nicole Brady, Denver 7.
Yeah, it only took about 2 weeks for us to be bored at home. We would love to hear from you. How are you or your kids navigating the next school year amid the pandemic? Send us your thoughts by emailing 360@thedenverchannel.com.